Hi, I'm Josanne Wright Callender. I'm the author of the Happy Little Garbage Truck picture book and educational program. Well, this week we've been talking about social stories, and today we're going to conclude the last of the components that are in social stories. We've talked about the descriptive, the directive, the affirmative, and we've talked about the perspective and the cooperative and the control is are today. The cooperative is the final part of the social story, and the control sentence is one that we haven't really spoken about, but it is a sentence that I've discovered helps to give the child a perspective also. It's an analogy of what the child is to be doing in the social story context. Say, for instance, a child of mine really loved Spider-Man, and say if Caden wanted to say like follow directions, or if he was having difficulty sitting quietly. Let's use the example of yesterday. I would say Spider Man sits quietly as he watches the neighborhood to make sure that it's safe. And so that way he sees that sitting quietly connects to his favorite character. And I try to use the hero or the favorite character of the children that I'm writing a social story for because it helps keep their attention a little bit more focused. And so the cooperative sentence is a sentence that kind of sums up the whole situation and gives the child a kind of like the bookend to the social story. Doing this is what helps me be a better student, or I could say it just gives a final meaning to a situation. And let me show you, giving you this social story that I wrote for my student on following directions. And so, say that Caden loves Spider-Man, and I do too. So I started off, and this top border is just telling you that it's for Caden, but the social story is actually the body, and I'll read that. Spider-Man wants Caden to go to school and learn new things. That's our descriptive sentence. Spider-Man also wants Caden to make good choices, follow directions, and complete his work. And there you have the directive. And, I always try to include an icon or a picture of what the student's favorite person is on every page, because as I'm reading this to them, they're looking at the same thing that I'm reading. And it actually helps as a child is learning to read to identify some of the words that are favorites of him, of the child, like Spider-Man. The second page says Spider-Man knows that sometimes the teachers may tell me to do my work and I may not want to do it, but that's okay. And I said it may upset me, but that's okay because Caden did have difficulty and he was upset every time I asked him to do his work. But, including that in the social story gives him a perspective of, oh, this is how I feel. And it's okay to feel that way. And then the following part of that kind of clears up, even though it's okay to feel that way. When asked to do something by an adult, Spider-Man looks them in the eye, says, okay, does it, and then checks back. So it's still not letting Caden off the hook for getting his work done. And so I thought that that was a really good um, affirmative statement also. And it's actually a directive, but it gives the child a little bit more specific as to what they're to do. And then, as an affirmative statement, I said, Spider-Man knows that by doing my work, it will help me learn how to do a better job in each of my lessons. And that's sort of like giving the student rather an idea of why it's important to do this. He's going to do a better job in his lessons. And then the cooperative statement is, I know that I will have a break soon, and that's when I will be able to play a game or have a snack with my friends. And the cooperative sentence is the resolution. By doing his work, he'll be able to have that preferred activity, which we've talked about earlier. And just talking about self-esteem and working on social stories will give the child more, boost the self-esteem of a child, because they're able to see that they're able to get things that they'd like to do, as well as complete the task that they've been asked to do. And as they gain more and more self-confidence, these tasks won't be as difficult, and the child will be actually become a better student. So we've talked about all of the components of a social story plus a couple of extra tweaks. Next week, after Fun Day Monday, we're going to continue our discussion on what can make a social story a little bit more effective. And throughout this month, we'll talk about other types of ways of presenting a social story. And so until then, have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Bye-bye.